Warning, everything in this video and on this channel is for educational purposes only. All content is intended for viewers 21 years of age or older. All acts are performed by professionals, and all people shown are 21 years of age or older. All acts are performed under the legal Chapter 67(8)(d) here in Nevada. Please do not attempt to recreate or reenact anything you see on this channel.
Welcome to From the Stash Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the genetics that are just the most iconic lines. I'm talking gelatos, cookies, Runtz, some of these ones that you may be played out on, but when we dive into the ones, it may bring you back to some nostalgic flavors.
But before we get too deep into it, got to give a thank you to our sponsors.
Pigeons 420. Mr. Grow It. From the Stash Podcast.
Thank you, AC Infinity, for sponsoring today's video. If you're looking for new pots, consider checking out AC Infinity's Fabric Smart Pots. Their heavy-duty material is crafted with double-stitched nylon handles and 500-gram thick non-woven fabric that makes a permeable, tear-proof wall for excess water draining and maximum stability. If you want to check out their pots, go to acinfinity.com, use promo code THESTASH15, and consider saving a few dollars and getting yourself some quality pots.
This episode is brought to you by Stash Blend. I've been using Stash Blend for over a year now, and it's awesome. One of the things that I really like is that it saves me money. It's a whole bunch of different inputs in one. So I no longer have to go out there and buy a silica bottle, then a separate seaweed bottle, beneficial bacteria, then a separate one for mycorrhizal fungi. All of that plus more is in this one blend. Go to stashblend.com to learn more about it, and I also have a link down in the YouTube description section below.
Boys.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Back.
Good to see you, gentlemen.
Man, this is one that I want to call the genetic series, essentially, because we're really diving more into genetics as we've started this breeding project. And working with Seedsman, it really has this being top of the mind and top of the tongue. But a lot of people, I feel like, aren't realizing the categories. Terpenes are really it when we're talking about limonene or carefully categories. But what about like the gelatos, the Runtz, the OGs? Like, these are ones where you have so many that fall under this wing, this category of genetics. And I think that's not talked about enough, where somebody's like, yeah, I'm really after the Runtz crosses. Trey's always open about that. I really like the Runtzes. Me, I'm always looking for cushes. I'm always looking for funk, the dank. I think like diving more into the wonderful world of genetic categories is something that's not talked about enough. So I think today we should do that.
Yeah, iconic genetics that are out there.
Yeah, ones that are the best crosses. I mean, you look all the way back to the Super Silver Haze being crossed with a bunch of different cultivars. Even White Widow, Blue Dream, these are Blueberry into Blue Dream. These are ones that they have like 10 other genetics that kind of fit in that category. For me, starting out with like gelato, how many different flavors gelato falls under is crazy to me. There's so many gelato, 42, gelato 47, the different specific phenotypes, but then you look at the hybrids that come out of gelato. Is there any that stand out to you guys that really are like, holy, this particular gelato, I guess BX1 definitely was the hitter.
Yeah,
That one's
Gelato
smack.
41.
Yeah.
Gelato 41 backcross. I just did that one. That was a really great grow. It was like a good golf ball size buds, very dark, almost black in color. Yeah, I really enjoyed my gelato. And
Have you had biscotti? Gelato
I've smoked
cut,
it,
baby.
Yeah, never grew it.
I never grew that one, but the flavor of that one I like almost more than a straight gelato. It gives me a little more of the earthy, piney funk that comes out of it, but it wouldn't happen without the gelato. And that falls in that line, that category. There's a guava gelato that's a super sweet, to me almost has a mango-y flavor to it personally, but it's like that one, you take a few hits and you're like, where's the gelato? By the end of it, like once it gets really resiny for me with a blunt guy, it's going to taste so gelato-y with this extra sweet funk where sometimes I'm like, why put it in? Why do that? Runtz, there'll be 30 versions of Runtz that all kind of hit like Runtz. They all taste similar to Runtz with a slight variation. Do you think there's a reason to have these whole categories? Like to breed out 50 OGs that all kind of really taste like OG? Is that like necessary, or is it just copycat?
Yeah, I think that. Fuck, what was your
Do you think the slight variations of each of these genetics is worth having?
Thank you. I do. I do think so. I think in the same way, it's like there's when you get a steak, there's multiple different ways to cook it. Some people like it raw, like myself. I pretty much like it rare,
Maybe I
blue
like it.
rare.
Oh.
and then you can have someone who likes it just rare. Instead of a blue rare, you got a rare, and then you got like a medium, and you got a well done. It's just slight variations of the exact same steak, just cooked to somebody's preference. So I think yeah, there is good. It's good to have good variations. In a couple episodes ago, we referred to it as this color, where it's like you can pinpoint a specific blue. You can break it down to its docs or whatever that RBG number is. And then you can say, this is it. This is blue. But if you change that decimal point or that number on the end just by 1 point, you now have a different blue that might speak a little bit different to somebody in a kitchen, on the side of the house or your car. Yeah, variation is good. Variation is good. You might want somebody that wants a 1. You might want somebody that wants a 10. But you might want somebody that wants a 2, 3 through 8.
I think that's the argument of the endocannabinoid system. You know what I'm saying? Where like mine may want a little different, like the mochi, I believe it's called, said, or maybe it's mochi, M-O-C-H-I.
Mochi.
I'm dumb. So
It's Italian?
Yeah, I believe so. That's a Girl Scout cookies, because like everyone wants to roll off the gelato. Is it's got to be an Italian dessert, the biscotti. You know what I'm saying? Like it all fits within that category. Just like cookies will have this cookie offshoot, like Girl Scout cookies, a thin mint cookies, something that flows enough where you know it's in that category. But then you get bred out so far that you don't realize that some of these, like for me, that mochi, I didn't realize had any in there. I was just thinking, I read it initially, it was a somewhat of a earthy funk with a cakey cream to it. So I was like, okay, I like that. Kind of wedding cake-ish, not the zinger tangy one, but the earthier one. But when I tried it, it was just gelato. Just tasted like gelato to me. So part of me thinks that it's people trying to keep up with the Joneses, where they're like, well, all right, well, I'll just make the next version of it, the next strong version. But again, Trey will still seek a Runtz. That Lance, I think it is, that's come out recently. From Ridgeland Farms, that's all Runtz to me. It's all it tastes like is friggin' Runtz. But the world's loving it right now. I think there's something to be said about everyone's particular palate, but also the hype. The hype is there too. Let's breed out 1 million cookies. Let's breed out 1 million gelatos. But look at the Gorilla Glues, where Gorilla Glue was put into 1 million genetics, and they all kind of have that nutty, woody, rubbery funk to them. And it's like, why did we really breed them out? I like the Gorilla Glue, damn it. Give me back the Gorilla Glue.
So gelato. Gelato is a sherbet cream pie crossed with...
No, I think it's Sunset Sherbet.
Oh, Sunset Sherbet.
Sunset Sherbet and Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies.
That's it. Yep, that's it. So it's crazy to think that's where your gelato comes from 2 iconic genetics already gives you this beautiful one.
When you look in the cookies line of things, this starts that whole area there. Because, I mean, you've got Durban going into the Girl Scout, which then has been in like a cherry pie, which then you have like the offshoots of all of these, and you have these other dessert categories. And I feel like they all start from this, and they pay homage to them by breeding them out to a new, unique category, instead of it's just the same, but a slight variation. Thinking the OGs, for example, Tahoe OG, OG Kush, OG 18, they all, like, there's something about them that is a slight variation, as where the original one is the original one. But there's a reason to make these offshoots, because they do have a little more limonene. They do have a little more linalool. They have something that's going to have a flavor that one person may want that they didn't get from this, but they want that original funk coming out of the cookie genetic or out of the OG genetic.
Yeah, I love it. Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue is a famous one. I don't even know. I don't even know if we can technically or legally call it that.
GG number 4.
GG number 4. Yeah, that's an iconic one, and I know I've worked with that one a few different times. But to break that one down, we've got I believe it's a chocolate. How's that break down?
Chocolate diesel.
Chocolate diesel. That's right. And a sister's
Chem Sister Sour Dub.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I did have this written down.
These aren't alone. I guess that the Chem, alone these might be funks that I like. The diesel, the sour dub, Chem Sister. I haven't had these original ones. I've had Chem Dog. I've had sour diesel.
Yeah, I've had
lineages. And I've had sour dub. I don't know, like I've had Chocolope.
I've had Chocolope, chocolate Thai.
Yeah, so I've had separate versions. But again, when you think about the categories of flavors, the peppery, the piney, the earthy, the nutty, the woody, those are all in those categories. So bringing those together should create another offshoot of something that now is, only way to describe it is this new original piece. That's what I think categorizes genetics. When you're like, oh, you taste, this is sherbet in here. Right now, that seems to be a trend. So much as it was sherb. It's got a strong, distinct flavor. I'm working on that with my project, and it's primarily sherb green pie flavor. So I want to breed more out to get a little more gas into it, but it's damn is that a dominant genetic trait that comes through. Maybe that's more of what it is. It's these ones that if they have a dominating gene pool, then this will create the line. It won't be saturated. You're always going to taste it.
You know, it's almost could you argue that Gorilla Glue GG4 was like one of the first. You know how you can buy a pack? You buy packs these days, and they look like CD cases, and they look like video games.
Yeah.
They look like whatever. I feel
3,000 in a pack.
I feel like 3,000 in a pack. I feel like GG4 was like the original trying to imitate a very well-known brand, and we're the ones to get busted first.
Yeah, one that wasn't a negative thing. Like Agent Orange is not a good thing.
No, that's a bad thing.
But it was a bud name. So like that was one that's taken. LA Confidential. You know what I'm saying? These certain things that like Black Widow from a White Widow. You know what I'm saying? Like these are ones that are like, ooh, green crack, dangerous, like nothing good. But then you come out with Gorilla Glue, it's like, oh, because it's incredibly sticky. Okay, resinous. Like, oh, no, that sounds positive. You know? It's rare when that happens. And then it was the nastiest, funky, dank, amazing. But there's so many like bland versions, man. Like, shout out to Seedsman, love you guys, but get rid of that Gorilla Glue 12. That is not a Gorilla Glue. It's not a representation of it. Me and Trey had a category that was spicy glue, fire glue, and like basic glue. And like you would have varieties that you're like, it's in the family, but this is like a watered down version. This is a zero. This is a Red Bull Zero.
That disappointing.
That would be like in my we were talking about, you know, what meets people's palates. You know, we like the nasties, and a lot of people don't, but they want that GG4. They don't want the nasty, but they want that GG4. So that's where you get that slight variation of the color code. They want that GG4, but they don't want that nasty. So it's like that's where the variation on the spectrum really is important. Is really important.
Well, you mentioned the lawsuit. I don't know if anybody knows about that. Do you know the details on that? So they got sued for using Gorilla Glue number 4, and did they have to pay money, or did they just stop using the name?
I believe it was a cease and desist. So I don't think they. I don't think that they had to pay
fined or anything. And
no, I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't believe so. But I believe that it was. You have to stop using the name, or there'll be some repercussions. I don't remember the deets of the case, but I don't think there was a financial settlement. Yeah. But it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to think that though. That's kind of the path that we've taken throughout.
I think Skittles was another one where whoever created that kind of got busted for copyright or whatever.
Same with Runtz.
And Runtz,
they didn't get in trouble per se, but they were cease and desist on using their logos because they were using the same variation of the logo.
Wow.
And then the name of it, they
Runtz,
still run with.
the candy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
But they got a Z.
Right.
So it's different.
Right.
It's like, oh. But just circling back to the Gorilla Glue, like, did you know that Grease Monkey from Exotic Genetics starts with Gorilla Glue? That's where a lot of that funk, crazy resinous comes from. That's an intentional breeding project where they're like, dude, I want this to be white, covered in trichome, sticky, danky, nasty. So putting those together, you look at Skittles, the thought process is maintaining that sweet candy funk, and you could taste it. When something's crossed with Skittles or Runtz, I can taste it immediately. Like, that's such a dominant recessive trait that those terpenes shine, even bud structure sometimes. It's like, that's where, like I was saying, what's the point of crossing them? But as you said, everyone, the A or the B, the slightly different palate may go one direction, but it's like the commercial setting has to get the yield. They have to get the testing. They have to get all these things. So I think we're losing some of the other properties to make it so the popular genetics can go to mass market. Because you can't take a peanut butter breath and get some crazy yields. You may need a hybrid of a peanut butter breath to do that. But it's just not like, I wouldn't say it's not a focus for the masses of people, but they don't realize that if it's not 3 alike, it may not make it, you know? And so these genetics that are being bred more and more to stay in the lines, it seems like they're being bred with like Big Bud and Critical and these things that aren't dank, but they're giving it the growth trait that it has, or a GMO to give it the dumping, so it's having more resin, but it's just GMO-y. So it's like, if you're going to cross stuff out, cross it with the intention of creating a new thing, I feel, versus just the same slight watered down variation. Runtz is a perfect example. It's a million Runtz, rainbow Runtz, pink Runtz, blue Runtz, purple Runtz, and they all are like the same thing. Why are they different?
Yeah. Getting that difference is kind of how you end up with something like a super silver haze. You've got a skunk, a Northern Lights, and a haze in there. And so essentially you've got the best of 3 incredible genetics. You've got the better growth from your Northern Lights, not so spindly. You kind of calm the skunk with the haze, so it's not so potent to the nose. and you end up with something so iconic. Super Silver Haze, I've grown it countless times, and one of my favorite genetics because it has some of the best qualities from 3 incredible lineages.
Well, it's like you're making red and blue to make purple versus we're just throwing 50 colors in. Like it makes sense to cross certain things. Like when you look at the end result, you're like, oh, it made a new separate thing. It's no longer just a slight offset. Now it's magenta instead of red.
Right.
It's like, no, now
you've got
you've
Super
made a
Silver
new
Haze.
color. And this
Yep.
category of color will have its offshoots that then someone like, I prefer to use the teal. Like, look at the blues you're wearing.
Mhm.
You got 4 blues on. You know what I'm saying?
My wife would kill me if she
She'd
saw
be
how well
pissed.
I matched. Yeah.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a thought process that people go into the breeding side of things now where they're like, all right, what good recessive trait can I pull from this one, and this one? And then with those, I've got a new Picasso piece that's something different. That's my interpretation of this. Like, that's the difference. Your interpretation of a genetic versus exact replica.
Mhm.
Constantly, I go back to Gelato G. But I got the Pakistan, like the growth characteristics of one. Pigeons got a separate one. But the end result, our smoke was just about the same. You know what I'm saying? The look was a little different, but the terps, if it was rolled up, I could not tell you
Nasty.
any different.
Yep.
But that's where it's calculated precision breeding makes it so your end result is now it's not just this, it's not just this. This is its own thing. I don't feel Runtz has gone that way. I feel Skittles has a little bit more. I feel Gorilla Glue. I feel OGs, Gelatos even. But Runtz is the one that I just feel if it's a Runtz, it's a Runtz, it's a Runtz. Do you guys agree or disagree on that? Have you had the variety of Runtz?
Nope.
No, me neither.
Michigan is just Runtz City, bro.
Yeah, we're not getting the variety of Runts in Canada.
They're not really a variety per se, but the name says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, swear to God, dude. Like, I'll try it, and I'm like, Runtz. And like, no, this is Rainbow Runtz. I'm like, huh. I'm like, that one's Pink Runtz. It's different. And I'm like, huh. It tastes like Runtz with ice. It's like you put ice in your drink and it watered down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's a little different, but it's like, I kind of like the original one better. I'm like, well, this one's new. It's the new hot. It's like putting out an EA Sports game. Next year's pretty much the same thing, but there's like tiny difference, you know? I think the marketing tactic of using the lines are more important than the lines for a lot of people. If Runts are hot right now, we need new Runts. Gelato's hot right now, we need new Gelatos. I don't know. I want a new next offshoot, you know?
I kind of talked about this in a previous episode pretty recently, but I actually grew it a Runtz, and it was from, I'm not even going to name the company, but it was a white label. And so I was disappointed because I grew it out, and it looked like just any other genetic that I had. You know what I mean? It was definitely not anything special, I say, right? When you hear about Runtz, you always hear
Runtz
about
is
it being
special,
special
yeah.
and unique, something you can kind of pick out. This was more like just a piney, earthy, it seemed like an old school something from the 90s that I had consumed back then. I
Bag
was
seed.
like, this is not, yeah, right?
It's just a bunch of bag seeds they repurposed and called them something else.
So it goes back to, what I was saying, I hate to repeat myself in the previous episode, but like, who's the source, right? Because if you go on Seed Finder and you search Runts, you're going to find a whole bunch of different breeders for that. Okay, who is the original source? Who is the one who is making that, who actually spent the time, and who's going to be legitimate in putting it out to the community? Because there's so many variations, like you said, some are watered down, some are just gross. So.
Well, allegedly the original person was just a trapper and renamed some that he took from another person. So it was, and he brags it up everywhere on the Adam 22 show and all sorts of people's shit. He's like, we don't give a fuck, we're out here hustling. And him and Burner had collaborations, and I think that's where Burner got a hold of it. Sea Junkie and other people, and they were able to take these, whatever originally was called, something else that was stolen and renamed, and create a whole new line of it. And I'm sure someone's sitting there pissed, just like the guy who made Super Boof. I think it was Blockberry or Blockhead or something else, but there's a particular cut that's Super Boof. That's way more popular, and every other person made it now. Some totally different breeder who has nothing to do with the original guy, and the whole world wants it, but no one cares about the original name. No one's looking the original name up. Now it's a Super Boof offshoot. That's a new category. Like, I'd honestly probably say that's our most recent one. That and Sherb cream pie, like the Sherb cakes. They've got this flavor that's like, you taste it all the way through. No matter how many times you've bred that out, you're like, just got Sherb in it? Like, oh yeah. It's like, yeah. That dominant recessive trait where that flavor shines. The look of it, you're like, oh yeah, I can tell. This is what it is. But I'm a snobby smoker and grower, so I don't want the same. Permanent marker and Sherb cream pie taste so similar to me that I don't differentiate them. They could be in the same jar and couldn't tell you the difference, man. And I'm a snob of a smoker. But why make the other one? You know what I'm saying? What's the point of making it? There's got to be some logic other than just marketing. Maybe my endocannabinoid system doesn't read that.
I was just gonna say there's that variety again where
Yeah.
it's like you could have 2 different meals, and someone's gonna say, eat a piece of fish, and be like, "That's the best chicken I've ever had,"
Yeah.
and you'd be like, "That's not chicken, that's fish." You're like, "Oh, I had no idea." Right? So it's like you could have 2 difference in the same jar, not know, whereas someone else might pick it up and be like, "Oh, you got 2 different kinds in there. I can smell it. I can taste it." Right? So it's meeting everybody's palate. Kind of segue. What do you think about like when like some of the most iconic strains don't really, or some of them don't really even pay homage to the genetics that they came from. So, an example of this would be Girl Scout cookies, which is a Durban Poison and an OG Kush.
Yeah, nowhere in
Where
that
do we
view-
get the Girl Scout cookies from? Unlike, Blue Dream, which is a blueberry and a haze, I feel like you get a little, blue being the blueberry and the dream being the haze. So it's like I can see a little more to that.
Well, and then cookies took over as now this is their category instead of this
Right.
falling under the Durban category.
Right.
But again, I think the offshoot of this hybrid made it such a unique terpene profile that now it's its own color. Like I said, now it goes to the blues. Before it was just RGB, and now all of a sudden we've got purple. Now all of a sudden we've got pink, and these are now their own categories of colors because there's offshoots of those. Cookies has become its own hot thing, I feel, and there's so many genetics that use the name cookies in there. Where I'm like, where's the cookie? Like, what? Where's the flavor in this? And it's like, oh, well, it's crossed with this, this, and this. Like, well, you've lost why this is a cookies. We no longer care. I want the cookies out of it with a unique twist. Prime example again is a GMO. I don't want a GMO that has GM-no. I want to taste that funky nasty in there. Has to. Or why did you cross it in that? But usually strategically, there's a reason. The growth, the things besides the end smoke. It's like, well, I wanted the production of this.
I wanted it to flower in less than 12 weeks.
I wanted it to dump so much resin. I want there's a reason to do it, but it makes it tough for those consumers or those growers who have a list of all of these offshoots. Like, which one is the good one? Which one should I get out of this category of cookies? Which one should I get out of these gelatos? Which is the hitter? And the only way to know is experience, because again, that list is marketing. That production description is probably at this point AI generated. So it's like you got to really shop till you drop, or shop and pop, and it's tough if you're by yourself. When you've got a group of people, like prime example, if you're growing this, I'm growing this all from seedsman, I'm able to find out, hey, that banana jealousy banana like? You say hell no. Troy says hell no. I'm like, you've grown it. No. I'm like, oh wow.
No.
Son of a bitch, I should grow it.
Where does the banana come from?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just a cherry atomic sledgehammer. Shout out GT. Why cherry?
Cash. Yep.
Where's the cherry come from?
Where's the cherry come from? So it's just like maybe there's a particular phenotype or a thing that came out of it. The cotton candy conversation.
Yeah.
It wasn't the aroma or the flavor for a lot of people. It was the production, how it looked.
That's right.
Blueberry is blueberry. It tastes blueberry. But I've heard other people say it's because the buds grow like a bunch of blueberries. Same with Runtz. It's because it's a bunch of small buds. It's like, okay. It's your own personal logic, but certain things, the name should help you categorize it. I just feel. I love the fact that the offshoots of gelato or cookies keep a dessert name. So I'm like, okay, I'm expecting a dessert. As where if you have a Kush.
Green crack being White Widow and... Ooh.
Do we have a
No,
list?
I mentioned this a while ago. Yeah, White Widow and Skunk. White Widow White Widow is OG Kush and Skunk.
But it's things that are almost like less desirable fit in the name.
Yes.
It's nasty. It sounds like a funk. It sounds like harmful. Like, yes, versus the Runtz is candies versus the cookies is dessert. Like, give me the logic. When you hear fuel, GMO, gas, names that sound like, oh, the going to be like, oh, when you smell it. It may be unpleasant to some. Us, we love that funk. But then the sweets should be labeled as sweets. I don't want to grab, because again, we're shopping via look, description, and testing. We can't necessarily have an option that gives us, until there's a genetic bank, we don't really know if it has these things that we want in it, the original crosses of these lines. So if the name doesn't say it, damn it, we lost it. It's gone, because someone's going to take that and breed it into something else. And now we don't realize Durban Poison was the grandparent. Now we don't realize Girl Scout Cookies was the grandma,
Yeah.
Well, one of the genetics that I feel like is kind of true to its name, and it's definitely on the list here of iconic genetics, it's been made very popular, kind of in the same era as the Gorilla Glue, which is Pineapple Express. This is something we definitely, I mean, it was made popular by the movie Pineapple Express, right? And that is Trainwreck crossed with Hawaiian. And I grew this out once before. And
that makes such sense for the name.
It does.
Trainwreck pineapple.
Because when I grew this out, it was not a very big stretcher after flipping, but it did have quite a bit of frost on it. It had a lot of gas on it, which I assume is coming from the Trainwreck side of things. And the flavor, I couldn't really pinpoint. I don't really remember. It was a while ago. I don't really remember specifically pineapple, but I totally remember sweetness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So the sweetness, the fruitiness, fruity sweet, I guess some people call it, that definitely came out on the end result. And so Pineapple Express, absolutely. I personally feel like it's true to its name as far as what you're getting as the end result.
Hawaiian being the pineapple, the Express being the train.
Yeah,
right?
that's the difference. I feel like a strategic breeding, like we've been talking about precision breeding, when you're doing something for an outcome that's predictable. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. And then you take these genetics and you whitewash them out and we lose them. You know how many fake Pineapple Expresses I've had? You know, I mean, oh my God, between that, gelato, Girl Scout cookies, all the things we just listed in this episode, you will find a white label generic version. The guarantee you're going to find one from ILGM or one of these random brands that aren't even near what it is. It's just like your Runtz story. It's like they won't even be in the category where you're like, yeah, it's just kind of a midsy breed project. Like this one is just a randomly named one. That's the hot genetic. Got it. It's like, huh. Well, what do you know? No testing, no nothing. You got it overseas that fast. It's just it's sad to see because then the casual grower or consumer is Google searching something, the best SEO website they're finding all the time, and boom, now all of a sudden you've got people who are thinking this line of stuff is shit. And I was one of those people where I was like, Pineapple Express is garbage. And then I finally had it and it was such a smack in the face of terps. I'm like, okay, I see why people like this. Same with gelatos. First one I had was so mild because it was a whitewashed white label. Then I had a real one. I was like, woo. And this was way after it was hot and then it was played out. And I was like, man, gelatos are fire. Everyone in California was like, that shit's so last year. Because it's the trendy, let's move past it. And by doing that, you have people keeping up with the Joneses and they're tossing out these replicas that don't do justice to these lines. Runtz is the best example today because everything is a something Runtz. Something Runtz. I'd say gelatos are not fading out, but people are realizing that the name gelato and something isn't as hot, so let's call it something else. Let's breed it down to a new thing. I'd like to see the preservation of the lines more than the originals. So it's like if you're going to keep doing gelatos, call it something different if it doesn't have any gelato effect, but otherwise keep it in the dessert name category. So if I'm going to send somebody to find it, they know it's like, this sounds similar. This is a Cheshire Farms cookie. It's like, oh, well, will be a cookie flavor then, I assume. It's like, yes, for sure. It's not just giving that name out of irony. Like a lot of genetics. You're like, no, because the buds look like they're.
Yeah. I misspoke earlier too on green crack. That's skunk and Afghani.
Let us know in the comment section.
White Widow is an Brazilian landrace and an Indian landrace.
South Indian.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're getting these traits that if you look at a line of flavors, they need to retain their ancestors in a sense. It's the same thing if you see like in New Zealand, they'll be doing the traditional dances and they have traditional culture. Japan, we were talking with Swank about that. They maintain tradition. They move past stuff, but you can look back in history. You don't got to search for it. With breeding, it seems like it's so outbred that then we can't even consider these are part of the lines. They stop at a certain point. We're going gelato, a whole new thing. We're out of gelato categories now, but it's still made with gelato, but it's out of the category. Same with the Kushes. Like so many genetics are called a Kush. The last one I had that really tasted like a Kush was like Master Kush. And then all of a sudden everything else just had the name. Because I haven't had a Khalifa Kush that was cushy and funky and lean in that area. I haven't had any Kush. Candy Kush would have been close to it. I think from Reserva Privada. That was the last, like, it's getting too sweet. We're leaving the Kush. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool for some people, but for me, I'm old, I guess. I want to maintain those flavors that I remember as a kid. Make new genetic versions of it. But damn it, if I'm hitting an OG, it better have some OG. Period.
And there's a lot of actual discrepancy in OG Kush too.
Oh, yeah. Some people say it's all lemony always. Like, lemon, man, you get the sharp lemon. I'm like,
well, and then Todd will tell you that a lot of people that claim to have
Todd McCormick.
OG Kush don't even have it, because he says pre 1990. I'm gonna get this wrong. Pre 1996. You weren't getting OG Kush.
I think that's where it switched to Bubba. A lot of people were saying you're getting Bubba Kush.
Right.
The pre-98 Bubba Kush switched over, and that was where people were mistaking it. And if it had a Kush name, now this is
Now
OG
it's just
Kush.
OG
Now
Kush.
it's OG. And it's like,
Now
oh,
it's a Kush. It's
yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not true at all. Yeah. So things can get a little sticky. And that's why I like the conversation of understanding where our genetics come from. What are the lineages of our favorite genetics? I think it's a great conversation. I love it. I love
100%. There's a lot of people who I feel like get twisted on stuff where, like, one that we didn't even discuss directly was like slurricane, where someone's like, why do you keep breeding more and more slurricane? It's like nothing is getting the trichome production. Like this, just like again with the GMO reference to rosin, nothing is dumping like that. So we need to put this in and find the next evolution of, if I put this with this, can I get this? But I know this variable of the GMO, or I know this variable of the slurricane going to give me some of the result. So it seems to be, again, the intentional breeding of you found one new category.
it. What is slurricane?
Let's
I
look
don't
that up.
know. I have to look it up.
Shout out to
Okay.
In-House Genetics.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
crew.
You know, I had Brandon
on,
on TOP. It was a great conversation. He's a really insightful dude, very passionate, which I love, and very outspoken. I love that he's
Do-Si Do,
so
which is
open with
Girl
his
Scout
opinion.
Cookies, and Face Off OG, and Purple Punch, which is Larry OG and Granddaddy Purple.
Wow.
So this is a mix of genetics that already standing alone are really good. But again, the intentional breeding of, we're looking at multiple OGs, cookies with a Granddaddy Perp. Having Purple Punch on it. The Purple Punch was one that was so popular. I forgot about that one. Same with Do-Si Do.
Yeah, Do-Si Do. I remember
Then
that
bringing those two together, again, this is like the rare case of, wow, you took two bred out hybrids of hybrids, brought them together, and boom, new
one.
category.
And killed it.
Dude, 'cause
hit it.
when Slurricane first came out, there was nothing that had the trichome production like that. Nothing. Ever since I've seen ridiculous trichomes now, but I bet you somewhere in that lineage is some of these starter pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Probably. Yep. 100%.
Yeah, it's a trip when you think about it too, because it's like you can kind of start your whole career off of somebody else's initial work in this space, because now we can't touch back into the land races as easily. So if somebody's already done the due diligence to not lose these great traits, you have a great starting piece for your puzzle or your painting. Now you have this 10 page like manual on how you can work it, because you've got the lineage all the way back. You're like, all right, maybe I'll find the great grandma's energy out of this, you know, the growth out of here, and then the flavor, this new one I'm going to put into it. That's why I've gotten into the breeding, the fascination of what color can I make, you
And
know?
that's exactly what I did. I started with something that, I started with the land race, the Pakistan Valley, but I also started with Brisker OG, which has peanut butter breath in it, which has Tahoe OG in it, which has the Do-Si Do in it. If you dig back,
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Do-Si Do's in that too.
that's in it. Yeah. I forget which side it's on, if it's on the peanut butter breath side, if it's on the Tahoe OG side. Don't have the whole parent line lineage memorized or anything like that, but I know it's in there. And you can see some of that stuff come out in
100%.
some of the genetics, some of the phenos.
That's the intentional breeding side. When we talk, and I love how the series is like gradual. Like it's like you have to watch all of the episodes in the series to understand some of the shit we're talking about. I feel, unless you already are hip to it. But like that's where knowing the great grandparents and the land races of these genetics, or even just some that have been crossbred into hybrids, gives you those tools to be like, all right, I'm looking for something that fits in here, which is already in this one genetic. Like that's huge. It's like you have a toolkit that's already been worked on. You already have the engine that's already built, and now it's like, let's swap it out in this other vehicle. Let's see what we can get out of it, you know? The issue is when people aren't doing it for intentional breeding and they're doing it for marketing, they do it for the wrong reasons, and they don't realize what trait they're losing. It's like, dude, for the Runtz, it better, if I'm seeing the name Runtz on there, damn it better be sweet. Don't give me, I mean, I want pine more personally, but don't send me to the McDonald's store and I'm leaving with Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's kind of what it is. It's like, dude, what the fuck is that? I ordered Doritos. These are potato chips.
I ordered a cappuccino. You gave me a black coffee.
This is black coffee. Like, we'll put some sugar in it. Like, it's not the same though. Like, no, it says it.
It says it right
on
there. It says it right
It
there.
says it on the label.
It's false advertising.
Yeah,
really.
it really is, dude. It 100% is. And that's my argument of replicas and white label. If you do it right, kudos to you, those. I love that.
And they're getting away like wet bandits.
Dude, literally, man. And then there's just like, and then
wet
people are buying the sticky beans.
The sticky bears. Season 2.
People are they fall for the gimmick of marketing because you think you can trust these people. It's like, there's no way this giant company would sell me a fake AK-47. It's like, yes, they did. They did, right? When you tell me that name, when you say, I just ordered Blue Dream, Afghan, Gelato, this is like, oh no. What Google page did you find, brother? Like, they're the first one that popped up? Oof. You know, you have to do the due diligence. Knowing the breeder helps a lot. That's probably
100%.
I'd say is the biggest thing, because if I know that Brandon from In-House is behind something, I'm like, well, yeah, he's got the real slurricane. He bred into some. I know his crosses are going to be correct versus some random person. I'm like, well, what pheno did they use? And what was it really slurricane that they started with, or was it an offshoot replica? Same with Afghan. It's like, well, I took this genetic and this one and crossed them. It's like, but was it really that? Because now you're just in fake colors, dude. Like, I want the real flavor.
Fake colors. It's
Fake
water
colors.
paint. It's
Yeah,
going to
you
come
hear
off
me,
in the
water
rain.
paint. This isn't a pastel. This is a crayon.
It's a great conversation, boys. I think we really dived into something, and I'm really curious to see if there's people's favorite genetics that they can bring to the table and enlighten us in regards to what made up their favorite genetics.
Yeah, what's your favorite line of genetics, you know?
Yeah, and iconic. What's iconic to you? Put that down in the comment section. We want to read through it.
Absolutely,
yeah.
man. Another big shout out to Seedsman, man. Discount code the stash, anything genetic wise, or we also over there have Stash Blend available.
Yeah, it's on Seedsman now.
It's a massive thing. And depending on when you're watching this, that Swing Genetics and FTS collaboration inspired a lot of these episodes. It just got us diving into genetics and the lineage and the background and what created this stuff. And it's just topics that I can go on for days, man.
Dude, let's do terpenes.
Terpenes.
Sweet guys.
Trichromes.
Great episode, man. Appreciate you
Good
guys.
shit. So for from the stash, my name is Rob, Mr. Grow Up, Pigeons 420. We'll see you guys next time. Stay lifted.
Peace.